Question for the short gray hair
Damn.
guy. Um, how how many cars have you built personally, and how far have you gotten with them? Where are they now? Same for the tall guy with the beard. Okay, I'm Javad,
Yeah.
and I'm shortish. I'm 5'8", but Nate's it's just not fair because Nate's like, what are you like 7 feet
Uh,
tall?
-1. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, Nate's tall. Yeah, so we have both built a lot of cars. Um, I started this company with a car that I built. It's called 80TQ. In
Mhm.
fact, if you'd like to go to the internet and put in 80tq.com,
Is
there's
that still alive?
still a
Oh my
website.
God.
Yeah, it should be.
I think that
You
means
must be paid for
Dedicated.
that domain.
Oh no, it's down again.
hold on,
Oh,
maybe. Hold on. Oh, I think I know. I'm trying to remember now what. There it
oh,
is.
there it is.
You
Okay,
have to have, you have to have
www
www. Then
www.80tq.com. Now there's going to be broken links on it.
it's an
I
old.
literally haven't updated it in probably 20
It's
years.
going on 20 years at this
But that was the car that I built, and in many ways I innovated in an industry that didn't even exist. So
Yeah, vehicle modifications as and what sure it was. There was no company building really product that would let you take,
there was
especially the Audi Volkswagen lineup, like and really own and choose your path. You could throw like Tectonics was doing cams for some of the NA stuff. There's like
yeah.
some supercharger like turbo or with the turbo ladder kits,
Hmm.
but it was very
Yeah.
constrained in canned systems.
Yeah. So at the time when I started doing modifications to ADTQ, the Audi tuning industry was, well, you take an RS2 this and you bolt it on, and
Yep.
you get an MTM stage one chip, and I mean there was really basically no modifications other than kind of OEM plus stuff from Germany. And so I started getting into Audis in like 96, 97, and so I joined some of the early email lists, and I would say, how come nobody's built a header? How come nobody's running a Garrett turbo? How come nobody's put EFI on their car? And people literally used to tell me Garrett turbos will not work
Yeah.
on a 2.2 turbo. They used to say that the 7A cannot be turbocharged. You cannot put forged internals. It
There's
just won't
so
work.
much, yeah, so much just stuck
Um,
in the mud. Like
there,
you
there,
couldn't think outside
there was a
of
large
what
group of
Audi
people
wanted.
who said that the AAN 2.2 simply will not run on any other engine management system than factory Motronic 3. That you can't like maybe someone had done a Motec because there was like rally cars running on Motec and things like that. And so all my friends were doing Hondas, were doing turbo kits and EFI. My Mustang friends had like the world at their fingertips, and so I just thought, what if you had an Audi 80 Quattro? What if you could open a catalog and do modifications to your car, just like my friends with Hondas and Mustangs and Camaros have. And that was kind of what inspired me to start 034. So yes, I brought headers and turbo upgrades and EFI to the Volkswagen Audi market. And I'm one of the people who did that. Certainly, I think in the Audi market, I am the person who did that, and that's really what
It
started
made it
034.
accessible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
there were people that had done it, but there wasn't a company that had
yeah.
come to
It was
market
one-off
and
custom
was
stuff.
like, "Hey, you can EFI your car, you can turbo your car, you can put a header on your
EFI
car."
was certainly not a thing. It was the Audi 5 cylinder in particular was a very difficult motor to do proper standalone engine management on at the
Correct.
time because all of the players like the Haltex, the Motex, the all of the traditional standalone systems um, simply wouldn't support an odd cylindered motor.
Yeah.
They had no timing structures for it. They had no math built in that would let them, just arbitrarily fire
Yep.
coils when they needed to. So,
So that's what I set out to do, is to develop an EFI system that could fire any number of cylinders, including one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight,
in
nine,
any
10,
order, in any way you want it,
16.
how
Yeah.
many times you wanted, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, so I have built cars and I've wrenched and I've done it all. And then we got into racing. We raced at Bonneville. We went to Pikes Peak. We raced in Grand Am. We raced in SCCA. Um, and if you want to go look up our Time Attack A4, I was heavily involved in that, including wrenching, designing, welding. fabricating. I used to tune and calibrate all of our vehicles kind of until Nate really took over when we moved off our standalone system.
Yeah.
I chose not to really get too involved in the OEM calibration effort, and I just let Nate take that on because I was managing the rest of the company. Yeah,
There you go.
I used to drive the cars. One of the fastest drag racing times we've ever run. I was behind the wheel. So yeah, I don't get as involved anymore because I have a really good team of people, and the best thing that I can do is to be at a higher level, thinking, guiding the path that the company's taking. And same with Nate. I mean, Nate's not getting in there and getting his hands dirty either. He's overseeing our calibration and tuning effort, which is a really expansive and really complicated part of the company. So I really don't work on cars anymore, and I don't care to, but I have built dozens and dozens of cars, and I have a lifetime worth of wrenching experience. That's all I needed to do to know what I know now. So now on these lives, I mean, I always kind of I'm amused by the fact that there's almost anything that you guys can ask Nate and I, and we always have a response because of the time we spent, in the trenches, as they say, doing all that.
Yeah, I did. I had a very similar path where it was Audi 5000s and 4000s. I was swapping motors in. Similarly, putting EFI onto these old 5-cylinders, and then eventually I was one of the first, if not the first, at least the first to document it really, to put a V8 into an Audi 90. So I had an older Audi.
I think
it was one of the first.
I think there may have been one guy somewhere on the internet that did it and kind of wrote some stuff. Yeah, you were the first to make it.
It just showed how I made all the mounts and how everything fit, worked, and what parts were needed to do what. So I had a V8 and a 90, and then I decided twin turbocharging that was a good idea. I blew up several of those and various drivetrain components along the way. That car, ended up with a later motor V8 in it, got with factory management because I was starting to get into that. So a lot of the stuff in my personal projects, I would take things I was trying to, or was working on learning or dealing with at work and move it to the personal side as well. So just even more exposure and just embedded in it.
Yeah.
That went back to a factory management system that was all custom tuned, and that got sold to some guy in the Northwest. I don't know where it's at now. But same thing, Coupe Quattro turbo kit in the 7A. And just a whole pile of cars.
And actually, early on, when we started 034, early on, Nate and I would build cars for customers. So we would, we would be in there doing the work.
Yep.
Until we hired our first mechanic and stuff. So I mean that's a huge part of what you benefit from as a customer at 034 is that Nate and I we're not posers. We're the real deal. We've been there and done all the wrenching, and we actually know what we're talking about thanks to all of our experience. And that's always been my philosophy is, to get involved and learn by doing, not necessarily, from my ivory tower.
Yeah. And it's astonishing too. I don't know if you're new to the industry or new to tuning or new to cars, you got no idea how good you got it right now with the accessibility and the, the potential that can be unlocked with minor modifications and just the speeds and the performance that is just unheard. What would have been unheard of not very long ago.
No, in the late 90s, any of these questions, the answer would have been, no, you can't do that. No, don't do that. Don't modify the car. It won't work. You can't do it. Well, why not? Porsche designed a turbo for the Audi 5-cylinder. They're the only ones that can do it. It's ridiculous. So. And a lot of those people really didn't like me when I started popularizing. I was like, hey, look, I made 400 wheel with a Garrett turbo and a header and an EFI, and people were just like, oh, it must drive like shit. It drives better than your ass.
Wait for that turbo lag, and then you overlay the dynos, and it's 100 horsepower up everywhere because it's an actual free-flowing motor.
It was years of just being told, no, you can't do that, and just doing it anyways. I always try to think, what's the new version of it? What is the new thing? So that I don't fall in that trap. I don't want to be the one saying, oh, you can't do that, and then someone goes off and does it. So that's why you always see us. I think we said no to airbags and stance stuff. But
Oh, that was
it's
yeah.
like okay, that's not going to be a
So
thing.
many people asking for that because we were doing a
Knock
lot of
yourself
suspension
out.
stuff that people would use for those. We were
Air
doing,
rides.
spherical rear control arms and things.
That kind of
They would use a lot of our components for those, and they wanted more customized, airbaggable things.